In the wake of the massacre at the Moscow concert hall last week, France announced that it's raised its terrorism alert posture to the highest level. This allows for exceptional security measures such as stepped-up patrols by armed forces in public places like train stations, airports and religious sites. Well, for more on this, I'm joined by our international affairs editor, Kethevane Gorjestani. Kethevane, take us through the current level of threat in France.
Well, the highest level of threat, as you said, usually comes either when there is an imminent threat, according to the intelligence services, or when there has been an attack either on home soil or abroad. And in this case, it seems that the French authorities believe that the two are true. There is an imminent threat, and there was also that attack in Moscow. And the president of France, Emmanuel Macron, said that the group, the Islamic State group that carried out the attack in Moscow, had in the past, in recent months, tried to plan attacks against France. Now, yes, the threat level has been raised here in France from the authorities, but that doesn't mean that there wasn't a threat before. They simply have stepped up this level of threat, and that's what the Prime Minister, Gabriel Attal, said. He said the terrorist threat is real, it's strong, and it has never weakened, meaning that it has always been here. And this is something that they've been dealing with for the past years, the past months. And this attack, of course, just simply erased that. Now, what does it mean concretely for the people of France? As you said, this is stepped up patrols. They've added 4,000 soldiers to be on high alert, ready to deploy if necessary, added to the already thousands of soldiers who are patrolling the streets of Paris. And as you mentioned, there are several sites that are particularly at risk, train stations, airports, religious sites, but also official buildings of the French state, as well as schools. Schools are also very much on high alert. There have been several events of threats against schools all around the country. So they've really focused on these targets. And basically, the idea is to be prepared for any type of scenario, with the French authorities making it very clear that there have been threats and that there were two attacks at least that were prevented in the past few months, one in January and one in March.
Right, and we've been talking a lot about security ahead of the Paris Olympics. So what does all this mean for the Games?
Well, there is a clear warning from the head of French domestic intelligence, Céline Berton, the head of the DGSI. She said in early March, in front of a Senate commission, terrorist groups who target the West will try to use the Olympics to take action. It's not a question of if. They believe that there are going to be attempts. The question is, how prepared will the French forces be to try to prevent these attacks? And so you're seeing really France already for months now, if not years, preparing, gearing up, and doing trainings to be prepared for the Olympics, because of course that means millions of people coming to Paris. There's the question of the workers, those people who are going to be the volunteers on these Olympic sites. These people are being heavily screened. Authorities are saying that they've already put aside or rejected more than 700 people because they thought that there was a possible threat of something. So they cleared that. There's the question of the opening ceremony, which of course will be the biggest target of all. That was supposed to include about 600,000 guests. They've already reduced it to 326,000. And the Interior Minister said that he was willing to reduce that even more if there was any type of threat that made it impossible to secure for 300,000 people. And of course, there will be more tactical units, more soldiers, more police officers on the streets of Paris specifically, but also in the other Olympic sites, because the idea is to be prepared for any type of scenario, to secure and to think about all the possibilities that come with organizing such a big sporting event. And France is not alone in preparing a big sporting event in Europe and taking care and looking at the possible terrorist threat. Germany is going to be organizing the football Euro coming up in June, and they are facing and preparing exactly in the same way as the French. They know there is a threat, and they want to be prepared to prevent any sort of attack to happen during those months.